If I asked you the question of like, what position group depends on no other position group to be good, every other position group depends on them to be good, offensive line. Building that kind of offensive line, that's exciting.
The Chargers value offensive linemen more than any other position group in the NFL, and that is because of Jim Harbaugh. He says that that position is the tip of the spear. They are the weapon. But with the mixing and matching of all of these different offensive linemen to try to get the best starting five, it's been a lot of different guys in and out. But before the pads have even gotten on, Jim Harbaugh has said that he expects these five to start, and he expects them to possibly be among the best unit in the NFL. That's very high praise. I'm sure that's a little bit of coach speak, but with Jim Harbaugh and these coaches and the emphasis on the offensive line, I don't think it's an absolutely absurd thing to say. But what is a little crazy is that he values competition so highly, but he already outlined who he expects to start before the pads are even on. And I want to just break down really quickly today Jim Harbaugh's dream vision at the offensive line, specifically with these starting five. Now, first off, just the fact that he has basically confirmed that these are going to be the starting five guys before the pads have even gotten on just shows how much confidence that he has in these guys to perform and be able to play up to his expectation, which is to have an elite offensive line. But there are a couple questions here, specifically at the guard spot, because everyone is going to be looking at Trey Pipkins going from that right tackle spot into the guard spot. But I want to focus just right now specifically on Zion Johnson being the left guard, because now he has basically cemented himself as the starter when Jamaree Salyer throughout these first 2 years, they've both been playing 2 years in the NFL. Zion Johnson was drafted in the first round in 2022. Jamaree Salyer was drafted in the 6th round, but Jamaree Salyer, he's actually been playing better than Zion Johnson has at this point in both of their careers. Now, Zion Johnson is a better pass protector, even though Jamaree Salyer, he is graded as a better pass protector in PFF, but he has had more pressures allowed, more QB hits allowed, and also more sacks than Zion Johnson. So I was kind of, thinking, why is he graded higher by PFF in pass blocking than Zion Johnson? And I think it may be because of the penalties. Now, Zion Johnson, he has 14 penalties compared to Jamaree Salyer's only 6 penalties. And then also, you look at the positions that they played. Jamaree Salyer was left tackle for basically the entire 2022 season, then played right guard last season. Zion Johnson was right guard in his rookie year, then moved to left guard last year. It is way more difficult to pass block as a left tackle, especially as a rookie, because that is a very technical position. And also, it's such a technical position. You're going up against the best team, the other team's best edge rusher every single week. As a rookie, you would expect that guy to get more penalties than the guy who's playing right guard in his rookie year. But when it comes to run blocking, Zion Johnson, he definitely has a higher ceiling, and we'll get into that later, but he also is just consistently snap to snap a better run blocker. But listen, man, the fact that Jamaree Salyer in 2022 played that well as a left tackle in his rookie year, it's just something that we really need to appreciate about how good Jamaree Salyer actually is as an offensive lineman. Now, there are 2 reasons that Zion Johnson is starting over Jamaree Salyer at this left guard spot. Number one, it would be best for Zion to start and have Jamaree Salyer as the backup, because if anybody goes down on this offensive line outside of that center position, you have Jamaree Salyer to step in and be solid right away, because he can play every spot along that offensive line. Played left tackle and right guard. He played both tackle and guard on both sides of the offensive line already in his 2-year career, and he's been solid at both spots. But then also the athletic profile of Zion Johnson, it is basically exactly what Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman want in a guard. He's not very big, but he does have that elite strength, speed, agility, and explosiveness. He can climb to the second level really well, and he's a better run blocker than pass blocker, like we just discussed. But Zion Johnson, he has flashed in spots some really good play in the NFL, more than Jamaree Salyer has in their NFL careers, even though Jamaree Salyer has been more consistent. But the high ceiling of Zion Johnson, because of that high level athleticism, is something that Jim Harbaugh really wants to tap into. And when it comes into tapping into that talent, I think the moves that the Chargers have made thus far along the offensive line kind of shows what they want in offensive linemen. I mean, the first one that they made, Bradley Bozeman, the free agent, he's not a great pass blocker, right? But he does his best work in the run game, specifically in a gap scheme when he's pulling, getting out in space, climbing to the second level, just find somebody in open space and get some action. And then Joe Alt, who they just drafted in the 5th overall spot, I mean, he is like the best combination of athleticism and size, and then the technique to go along with all of that I have like ever seen from a tackle coming out of college. Like, people throw around generational prospect a lot, but let's just say like once every 5 years you'll get a guy like Joe Alt. I don't think he's really a good example of like them valuing athleticism at the offensive line position, because he's got everything, so you could say they value anything because he has it all. So let's just go to the next one. Trey Pipkins, he is moving from right tackle to right guard. He's basically solidified as the starter as well. And the reason for that is because even though he has not played guard basically his entire life, I mean, going back to high school, he was a tackle. It was a tackle at Sioux Falls. He's been a tackle in the NFL. They are transitioning him to guard because they value his athleticism and his quick feet at the tackle spot. And the one thing that Trey Pipkins really struggled with as a pass protector was speed on the outside. And when you eliminate that edge that he has to worry about, and then also take into account that he's not going to be going up against the other team's best pass rushers, because now he's moving towards the inside, and those best pass rushers on other teams, they're on the edge. You're basically having Trey Pipkins use his athleticism more at the guard spot, because he's going to be using it more in the running game in that gap scheme, being a pulling guard. He's got that quick feet, like I said, but he is also going to be better in pass protection because you're eliminating one of the weak spots of his game. So there is really a solid argument to make that Trey Pipkins could be better suited as a guard than a tackle. And then another move that they just made that solidifies that this is what they value is the Alex Leatherwood signing. And this one was, the smallest one of them all. He's definitely a project for sure. He's been worse than Trey Pipkins in his career, and he was a first-round pick. But, he was a Raiders first-round pick, so that's how those go. But he has elite explosiveness, speed, athleticism. This dude is really quick to the second level. He hasn't shown a lot of that ability in the NFL, but he has played guard. He has played tackle. He's got the positional versatility, and he is just somebody that you bring into your building because he has all of those tools that you want, and you're banking on your coaches to bring that out of him. You teach him the fundamentals, you teach him the technique, which has been a huge emphasis so far in minicamp and throughout OTAs. I mean, if Alex Leatherwood just becomes like a solid, an average, okay offensive lineman, that would be huge for this team. And just think back to the days of having Phillip Rivers, man. This Chargers team, we have not had like a legitimate, solid offensive line since I've been alive. And if Justin Herbert just had an average offensive line, like, this is how you build it. Those low risk, low money free agents that have all the tools. You bring in all these good coaches. We have so many coaches, and all of them are really predicating the technique and preaching that you need to learn these fundamentals. If you drill these guys up so that they have good technique with the athletic tools that they have, you're on pace to have at least an average offensive line. And this is Jim Harbaugh's vision. His dream scenario is you bring in all of these athletic projects. Joe Alt's not a project, but he is for sure an athlete. Alex Leatherwood is the project here, but Trey Pipkins as well. Zion Johnson is a bit of a project right now too. And even like Carson Barnhart, the undrafted free agent from Michigan. I would throw that guy in there too, because he's got athleticism as well. And he also has that positional versatility. Plus he's familiar with Jim Harbaugh. He was at Michigan for like 5 years, but the focus has been on the fundamentals, and also with bringing in talent. There's a consistent factor here, and a lot of it is athleticism, specifically at this offensive line spot. The only guy that they brought in who isn't like an absurd athlete is Bradley Bozeman, and he's a free agent. He was a veteran free agent, rather, who has familiarity with the Ravens, with Joe Hortiz and the Harbaughs. So that was just kind of a gimme. But the vision and the outline for success with this offensive line and with Jim Harbaugh is very clear. They want to establish the run with better run blockers than pass blockers, and they want to get these guys out in space, so they need to be athletic. They need to be really strong, really quick, so that they can actually get out there in time and find action in the run game, establish the run, dominate guys up front, smack them in the mouth with some big athletic guys, and you teach them technique so they don't get all of these penalties. And also, on top of that, you have Ben Herbert, the strength and conditioning guru, hopefully, that is going to help prevent injuries. These guys are going to be smarter on the field. They're going to be smarter with their bodies off the field. So hopefully they will be less injured and they will play way more disciplined. And I was thinking about making a Zion Johnson film breakdown soon. So let me know if you want to see that. But if you did not see my video yesterday, you can click right here.